Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. We're going to Germany tonight for the round of Formula V's from Motorsport Arena, Oschersleben. I was getting the accent on early. My name is Nick. Welcome tonight, and you'll be joining me and Daniel Carissa for the Formula V's. As you can see here, we're in the middle of farmland in Germany. Motorsport Oschersleben. 3.6 kilometers, very flat. It's a little bit of uphill at the top there. A couple technical corners and a couple chicanes. All right, the guys are currently finishing off qualifying there. But yep, we'll just go to the championship now. So as we sit right now, Glenn Sito Riddell sitting on top of the table on 84 points from Sam Chapman, who will be joining us for the second race tonight for the Super Formula Lights. He's on 76 points, and Adam Lavis there on 70 points in third. Tony Baker, another Pulse Racing guy, in fourth there on 66, equal fourth with Joe Borgen on 66 points. Kevin Henderson there, sixth on 59 points. Phil King on 58. Eighth place, Ryan Tate on 57. Luke Turner on 54, another Pulse car. And then rounding out the top 10, Dan Bartosz on 49 points. How long we got left in qualifying there, Daniel? So 3 more minutes left. We'll see what the guys can do. You got here your information for the track. 3.6 k's around. The track temperature is currently 26 degrees. The ambient temperature is 19 degrees. 82% humidity, partially cloudy, and a bit of a gust at 23 kilometers an hour. But it should be good racing, especially around here. Technical track with these Formula V's. I don't think too many people can get away. And if there is a break in the pack, no doubt somebody would have mucked up and there would be a bit of a gap. So, excuse me. Want to say a big thank you to all our GSRC partnerships. Obviously, Waste Options, Spreyton, Pure Tasmanian Alcoholic Cider, Orbic, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave, excuse me, and Flash Graphics. So, coming to the end of qualifying, we'll go to live pictures pretty soon once they start gridding up. We've got Tim Harris here on screen. Is he another one of the Pulse Racing guys, or he just happens to have the skin on the car as well?
It does look like he's just got the skin, but he might be. It could be that he hasn't updated his team name in the SDK, so it is showing up as Locked On Racing, but
big team.
Yeah, it is. But according to deliveries, yeah, he's got. Yep, that is updated. So yeah, not sure about that one.
They qualify, and we just got on 60 seconds left to go. I don't have the details, but I would assume it's a lone qualifying.
No, it's shared.
Oh, it's shared qualifying? Okay. I would have thought there would have been a draft train or something like that going on.
No, because it's heat racing,
lone
isn't
qualifying.
It is lone qualifying.
Yeah.
Yep, my mistake.
All good. Go Timmer in the beige bomber. Okay, I like it. Oh yes, like I always point out, this is interactive TV or viewing or broadcasting, so please, ladies and gents, get on the Facebook and interact with us. We're on YouTube as well, Daniel?
Yes, YouTube and Facebook broadcasting.
YouTube and Facebook, so get in there, guys, get in the comments, interact with us. If you want to see a battle or you see something on the timing, by all means, get on board and leave us a comment and we'll try our best. Our onboards tonight will be brought to you by Spreyton, the alcoholic cider, pure Tasmanian. Hello to all our Tasmanian viewers. As I see here, John Merritt, he's currently got the pole on a 43.502. And no, we've cut away. I don't know if he's in shot or not. All right, here we go. Grid number 1 for this week's Formula V Sprint Series. We got John Merritt on the pole on a 43.501 with his teammate Glenn Sito Riddell in second, Tim Harris in third, Ryan Tate in fourth, Adam Lavis in fifth, Aiden Schultz in sixth, Adam Proctor seventh, Phil King in eighth, Kevin Henderson in ninth, and Greg Batten in 10th. Over the next page, Tony Baker in 11th, Peter Matson in 12th, Colin Bennett in 13th, Brendan Nealon in 14th, Joe Baldwin 15th, Phil Butler 16th, Kurt Normanson in 17th, Mark Bowman 18th, Greg Padgett in 19th, and Greg Heaney in 20th. And we got Garth Horsfall in 21st. And speaking of Sam, Sam's taking a break and he's jumped into the commentary booth with us tonight as well.
I will try and race. I just happened to get into Quali with 30 seconds left to go.
Okay, fair enough.
So we will, could be an interesting race ahead, lads.
Excellent. All right, so gridding up now. The guys are gridding up. Obviously, we're going to see the lights, and we're going to have how many races tonight, boys? Is it just 2 or 3?
It'll be 3. So second race will be
races.
4 reverse grid, and then third race will be reverse top 10.
All right, and yes, that pulse tuning is giving an advantage. There's a lot of guys in the top half. On board with John Merritt here. Now with Glenn Riddell, waiting for those lights to come on. Wow, top 3. Here we go, lights are ready. They're coming on. Revs high and away they go. A lot of wheel spin leaving the line there. Pulse tuning guys off the first 3. There's a couple more down the back and we're seeing these last guys come across the line and already they're line astern. They're going to go through turn 1, first and second. Through they go. All 3 wide in the back there. It's getting a little hairy. Luckily we got the more open motorcycle quote unquote corner there. Someone's already off. We'll go back to them later on as we see them rounding through turn 2, going up the hill here, up into turn 3. I'll get the names right. This is Hasseröder. All these corners are named basically after German companies. So you hairpin turn back down the hill. This is actually a really good run. This next section here is called the triple. There's 3 apexes and then you go into another loop-de-loop. So we got John Merritt leading away from Glenn Riddell and Adam Lavis in 3rd. First apex, second apex. Run wide and then into the 3rd apex and braking for the hairpin. All right, so back up the hill, up a very slight incline to the first of the little chicanes. So yeah, pulse tuning 1, 2 and 4. Oh, 3 wide back there. Tony Baker's making his way through. He's in 7th as well. Up the back straight. There's a lot of smoke coming from these cars. They're running too much oil in these things. It's getting past the rings. We've got a bit of a replay here. Spreyton replay. Got 2 wide here. Who we got? Lachlan Thomas. Oh, just trying to run over the top. Does somebody please stop? There we go. First gear and away you go. These things spin in their own length. Excuse me. And there's another spinner in the background there coming through the far chicane. Into the final series of turns. We're watching Tony Baker here. Phil King in the 4X liveried canoe behind him. And then down we go. Down the front straight. A little bit of a downhill grade. Completing the first lap. 10-minute race. Excuse me, that's John Merritt from Glenn Riddell and Adam Lavis at top 3 there. We're watching Tony Baker here. He's in a bit of a fight here with Aidan Schultz, who's got the throwback 1985 liveried Renault paint job on his car. He's just drifting wide a bit there. He's going to get a later apex. No, he's just going to get a drive out there, out on the outside there. Going up the hill here. These things are so light and so small that the brake zones aren't that big, so... and they don't get that much speed, so you got to be really smart in how you maneuver these cars around and how you get around the opponent in front of you. You got to set them up a long way back. All right, down the hill, on board Aidan Schultz, looking back at Tony Baker. Go through the triple right now. Apex 1, little wide, Apex 2, and then Phil King joining in the background for Apex 3, and then they come through into the loop-de-loop. Excuse me. Oh wow, I just found out the next chicane is called McDonald's, so that's not German sponsor, but anyway, through the McDonald's chicane. Don't cut too much here, you might get a slowdown. And then back up the hill, up to the Shell and Amman curves. As we see there, looks like Phil King side by side with Tony Baker. We've got a replay here. Greg Padgett coming through the final complex here. There's lots of smoke. And, oh, he looped just to avoid the car in front spinning, so... Good heads-up driving there. We've got another replay. Garth Horsfall. What's going to happen here? He's just come through the triple and just touched the car in front of him. That's all right. No damage done. Just going to spread the field out here. As we're back to live pictures and we see the first 2. John Merritt and Glenn Riddell across the line. Now it looks like Tim Harris has got into 3rd. Adam Lavis dropped a spot into 4th. Adam Proctor right behind him, and I believe that was Aidan Schultz there. We see them 2 wide coming into turn 1, 3 wide further back. Very adventurous. Bit of lock brakes going in. We see here Aiden Schultz here in the Renault liveried car going back up the hill now. Looks like the front two have gotten away. Line astern. And yes, it looks like that pulse tuning is working. And down the hill on the little Volkswagens. Little, I think 1100cc Volkswagen flat fours. Come through the first of the triples. I don't mind this part of the circuit. Miss the first apex, get the second two, and braking and turning into the final bit here. These things are all about keeping your speed up. Back on the power nice and early. Work your way through the 4-speed transmission, still third gear. Almost flat out through the chicane, little lift, and then back on it. Oh, John Merritt smoking a bit there. Put a little too much oil into the oil catch can. Up the hill, through the far chicane, through the shell curve up here, under the bridge. Dab of the brakes. I don't think you ever brake hard in this thing. Flat out again, and then through the bow curve. Just flat out. Almost flat out, and then braking for the final turn. Alright, and there's another lap complete. So, the Zeppelin curve is the final turn, there you go. Adam Lavis has now got back into third place around Tim Harris, so these guys are having a bit of a battle here. The two of them going side by side into turn one, here we go. Battle of nerves. We're on board with Tim Harris on the right hand side of his car. He's gone through, Adam Lavis has let him have it. And he's going to try and get him on another crisscross or a run back up the inside here. So I'm on board with Adam Lavis here, as you can see, keeping the speed up, using all the road. You paid for the track, you might as well use all of it. Into the second brake zone, keeping it tight, using all the curb. Run down the hill. Third gear, excuse me, into fourth. Blown a bit of smoke between gear changes there. We see the front two have gotten even closer now. So John Merritt's now in second. So he's made a bit of a mistake, or he got crossed up with Glenn Riddell. So Glenn Sido Riddell has now taken the lead in car 64. We watch him go through the McDonald chicane here, straight over our camera. We've got a replay here. Joe Baldwin coming through the triple, and he's locked the rears. Just been punted a little bit. No, now they're interlocked. See if they can unlock themselves. Yep, there they go. Back in the first gear. I'm surprised they haven't done any damage. Back live shots here through the shell curve with the pulse tuning gents out the front there. And again, Tim Harris has gotten back into third place, or he's still in third place, I should say. Adam Lavis there in fourth. Coming through the final turn. 6 minutes 50 down. And just ticking over 7 minutes now. So it'll be about 3 to 4 laps, I would say, maybe 3 laps. As I see John Merritt now having a go. Looks like the toe's working really well here. And he's got in the lead. On the previous lap, Glenn Sido Riddell did set his fastest lap of the race, and fastest lap of the race for everybody. So tough all through the field. There's completely no big gaps pretty much. There's only 2 big gaps I can see. Everybody else is pretty much nose to tail. So once again, top racing by these guys. All 24 of them. Excuse me. Ambo St. John, he didn't partake. So 23 of them. Excuse me. Putting on the show for us here at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben in Germany. As we see the front two going through the triple turns down into the hairpin. Just keep an eye there, ladies and gents, on the totem poles. You'll see the names chop and change back and forth when people pass each other. But as you can see, a lot of the intervals are red and yellow, which means they're nice and tight. Anything over greater than a second, I believe, they're in white. But for the most part, you got to be racing somebody. So these guys are going at it hammer and tongs. We've got John Merritt leading here into the first part of the shell chicane. These little Volkswagen Beetle motors revving their guts out. And we got here Phil King and Tony Baker going at it. Phil's got him back past Tony, but Tony's having a look on the outside there. Through the final complex of turns, pit entry there on the left. Little hot on the way in, which means now Tony's going to get a run down the straight here on Phil. As slow as it is, he's going to get a good run here. Got aerodynamic drag there, slowing him down, and he looks like he's going to be pulling in front of him by the time we hit turn 1. 4th gear, top speed. Dab of the brakes, hard braking into the second part here, keeping it tight for the run up the hill and keeping your speed up. Adam Proctor sets the fastest lap of the race there on a 42.8. Excuse me. I'd say this would be the second last lap. There'll be one more lap after this. And we got here, oh, they touched, but they didn't touch. The wheels interlocked, but I don't think they made any contact here. Smoking between the gears, guys. We got Adam Proctor, Tim Harris right in front of us here. Oh, sorry, we're on board with Proctor. We've got Tim Harris and Aiden Schultz in front of us. My apologies. Going into the hairpin there, down there at the triple. So currently it's John Merritt from Glensetter Riddell and Adam Lavis with Aiden Schultz in 4th, Tim Harris 5th, and on board right now with Adam Proctor. Just through that McDonald's complex there, we see Tim Harris just put a wheel off. Adam's got a bit of a draft train happening behind him here. See what he can do in this final lap. And you've just got to position your car in such a way that it's wide enough that the guy behind you gets discouraged, but narrow enough that you keep on line. So I dare say these guys will be starting. No, this will be the checkered flag here. Looks like it says up there in the top hand corner. Yes, it is. Barney's got his arm out. So we got John Merritt coming across the line in first, followed by Glensetter Riddell, and the fight on for third here. Looks like Adam Lavis, Aiden Schultz, Tim Harrison, Adam Proctor. Tony Baker here coming down with Phil King, then Pete Matson, and it says Garrett Animal Batten there. I like that. Brendan Nealon, Ryan Tate, Joe Baldwin, Mark Bowman, Sam Chapman. We'll go through it in just a sec, guys, but that was a thrilling race. Oh, 3 wide, wow. Giving everybody a bit of a run here. Everybody's going to get some screen time. I believe 2 more to come around the final turn there. You can see on the track map, ladies and gents. Still 2 more to come. We got Horsfall and Thomas, and they will take us through 22nd and 23rd. There's Scarf and Thomas coming across the line. Cut away. Oh well, there you go. All right, so 23 start, 23 across the line. So I believe, was it a full inverted grid there, Sam?
Sure is.
Sure is.
Which I think, because I got a meatball on the final corner, so I think that puts me forward even further for this final race potentially. Let's see. What do we grid?
You're in
11th. There we go. Okay, a 10th. All right, we'll cop 10th.
Well, actually, it will be up further because St. John, I don't think, is he in the server? I don't think he is. Anyway, Ambo St. John in first, Lachlan Thomas, Garth Horsfall, Kurt Nommenson, Greg Padgett, Greg Heaney, Kevin Henderson, Colin Bennett, Philip Butler, and our guest commentator there, Sam Chapman. Bowman, Baldwin, Tate, Nealon, Batten, Matson, King, Baker, Proctor, and Harris. I'm getting through them super quick just in case the lights turn green. Schultz and Lavis, here we go. Lights are on. Lachlan Thomas is on the pole, he's away. Everybody a little bit of wheel spin there. All right, and the run down to turn 1. Adam St. John had to step out, didn't get back in time for the race. Unlucky. Hopefully can make it for the next race. We're up to 4 wide going down into turn 1 here. This is going to be crazy. Don't touch, guys. Oh, they've all kept it so far. You just got to find your little bit of space and not run on the back of the other person in front of you. I should make it through turn 2 and run up the hill now. Wow, this is a lot tighter. So through the turn 1 complex, somebody already off on the grass. Up to the Hasselroder hairpin, 4 wide, oh, and there it is, contact. Another spinner, Ryan Tate, just trying to be clean around the outside, got taken out. Let's see if these guys can get themselves back together again. And they're off again down the hill. So it looks like there's going to be a bit of a gap. So we see here in the Spreyton replay. Looks like, yeah, Joe Baldwin just touched the wheel of one of the guys. Oh, okay, we're trying to launch him now. Adam Lavis came to a stop. And another, no, we're live pictures here. There's some more cars going off. And Ryan Tate making his way through all the Pulse tuning cars here. We're fighting for 7th through the McDonald chicane. There's another car off the road there. What's going on? Wow, there's cars off everywhere. So it looks like this field is going to be quite spread out. Jeez.
Dodge that.
got to watch the merge there, guys. As we make our way up to the shell curve, these minute 40 laps, 100 seconds a lap, providing us a lot of thrills and spills here. It looks like they got a little bit more aggressive and have spread the field out a bit more. So currently it looks like Sam's leading there from Greg Padgett and Kurt Nommensen. So we'll see as they come across the line. So yes, it looks like Sam's leading. Greg Padgett, Kurt Nommensen are the top 3 there. Kevin Henderson and Tony Baker round out your 5, and then we got Batten and Phil King there in your 7th, which we're on board with Phil right now as we're going to the turn 1, turn 2 complex. He's looking for an inside run up here, which will be the outside of the next turn. But with these things being so low on horsepower, you've got to keep the speed up. Daniel.
Respect for the Garen's livery there. If I'm not mistaken, that's the Jamaican bobsled team.
3 wide.
What a simple yet great livery.
That's it.
One-man bobsled. But yeah, they've look at that. Look at so Sam's managed to get himself a gap there, 1.8 seconds down the road to Greg Padgett. Kevin Henderson actually now just making the overtake there on the pink Formula V of Greg Padgett. But from then on, it goes from Kevin Henderson all the way down to P10. And as we say that, yeah, that was Philip Butler and Garen Batten that went off the track slightly.
And Adam St. John saying the draft is insane in these things. So yeah, if you do rip the wheels off, it does look like a bobsled. So let's see here coming into the shell turn. Excuse me. Yeah, Sam's got himself a handy lead, and then it's just nose to tail Formula V's at the back here. We're on board with Pete Matson through the second last turn into the final turn. Kristen Pinnard, Lockie Thomas is the next Max Verstappen. We will see. All right. Speaking of which, I just saw on the live timing, Lachlan Thomas went off 2 consecutive corners there. So Ryan Tate with the fastest lap of the race, a 43.3. And we've got some more action happening up here. Jeez. You don't have to be fast, you just got to be consistent, because someone's going to muck up in front of you and you're going to get a spot. We see here Phil King here. Who's he going side by side with? Is Padgett. Padgett's just spun. Just got pinched there. It looks like he either touched the wheels or just trying a little too tight on the radius there and got spun. Or spun by himself. We see down here into the triple apex left-handers. Each one gets gradually slower. I guess not in these things. These things just keep the speed up. And it's just a really, really slow game of chess in these things. You see here Phil King having a look. Bit of a shallow look into the far chicane there. Seems to me every time these guys lift off, there's plenty of smoke coming out the back of these air-cooled Volkswagen 4-cylinders. The run up to the shell, we're finally in top gear.
There's no team radio in these cars, so they just send smoke signals back to the pit lane to let them know whether or not everything's okay. There's 5 minutes in, 15-minute session. Sam Chapman well and truly away at this one. 3.75 seconds down the road to Kevin Henderson. So unless he makes a mistake, he's probably got he's got this one in the bag. But here we go down the main straight. Phil King looking to get a good draft from Tony Baker, who in turn will do the same to Kevin Henderson. We'll see if Phil King shoots off to the left. He does, but it looks like Tony Baker had the same idea. And Joe Baldwin's at the back there too, as well as Adam Proctor.
Oh, too wide.
Nice and clean. Phil King lost a lot of speed there, though. That's going to allow Proctor to try and shoot up on the inside. He's got to be careful not to box himself out. He takes the much wider approach. And so far, everything's pretty clean. But through all of that, Baldwin and Proctor managed to get back up into this fight. So truly, there's 5 cars here. Henderson probably looking viciously in his left and right mirrors to see what is happening behind. But if they continue fighting, this might work in Henderson's favour.
Well, that's it. And Henderson might be the cork in the ball. These guys might be a touch quicker, and then there's a gap after these guys in 2nd to 6th. There's a bit of a gap there to Adam Lavis, who, by all accounts, has got another 4 cars backed up behind him. So they could, if these guys continue fighting the way they do. Oh, Joe getting a bit sideways there.
I thought he was gone there. Jesus.
I thought he was too. Oh. If these guys keep fighting the way they are, they might drag the next 4 cars, 5 cars up with them as well. So it could turn into a big fight. Into the shell turn. Across the curbing. Kevin Henderson doing a sterling job out here at the front.
Josh, that's a good. Whoa, there goes Phil King. That's Phil King. Phil King off
in the
to the
Forex
side.
car. What happened there? Oh, he's dropping way down. Oh no, it's Kurt Nommensen. My apologies. Sorry, I was looking at the live timing there. So hopefully Phil King just jumps onto the back. He has jumped onto the back of this little train, so he'll just draft back up to them. Well, that's it. Guest commentary doesn't really become a commentator's curse as we see. Wow. Any closer, Adam Proctor. 3 wide again into turn 1. These guys are just going to keep slowing each other down. Joe Baldwin on the inside there now, which is the outside for turn 2. Following Tony Baker through. He's got Kevin Henderson right in front of him. He's moved up 2 spots from the back of this pack to 3rd now, which is right smack bang in the middle. Couldn't think of anywhere worse to be, but in terms of danger, but we'll see how he goes. You see Kevin Henderson and Joe Baldwin going side by side on the run down the hill into the triple turn. Brian Tate with the fastest lap of the race still at 43.396. Joe Baldwin to the inside, which will be the outside and come the hairpin turn at the end here. He's back in line. This is great racing by these guys. Joe Baldwin looking left, looking right. And it looks like Tony Baker may have gotten a little bit of a break here. As Kristen Pinnard gives a backhanded compliment to Lockie there. As we see, oh wow, they're going 3 wide here. No, 2 wide. Joe Baldwin trying to get the inside here for the first part of the shell turn. It looks like he's got it. So he's going to try and catch Tony Baker there. So Joe Baldwin with the rocket boosters on here. I don't think he's lifted off the throttle the whole lap as he braked. Into the final section here. Now Sam Chapman with the 5.85 second lead over Tony Baker here. It's at the front of this pack, and we're on board with Adam Proctor, who's at the back of this pack, looking to make some inroads here as we see in the draft train now. Looks like he's getting a run. Here we go, side by side. It could turn into 3 wide here.
Yeah, it's a smart move though, because I thought he might go a little bit deeper. Kevin had nowhere to go. He had Baldwin in front of him, and obviously Proctor to the side, so he couldn't pull out. Effectively boxed him in. Proctor decided to take the safe approach. That's Baker going off slightly onto the left. He gets into the grass. That's going to slow the car down. That's allowed Baldwin to drop back into P2. Kevin Henderson in the middle. Phil King also joins the party now. And there's Adam Lavis. Lavis was 2.5 seconds down the road. He's now 1.3. Still got 5 minutes left in this race, and he is well and truly back in this fight. Tim Harris might even be able to do so as well.
So Tim Harris is there with his teammate John Merritt, and then Glenn Sitter Riddell's not that far back. So the 3 of them are trying to work together to catch this group, but I don't know if they'll have enough time to do that. Good evening, Dylan. We see here Joe Baldwin leading this train through. Joe Baldwin, Tony Baker, Kevin Henderson, Adam Proctor, and Phil King. This most exciting group on the track at the moment. As much as we'd like to see everybody in this race, this is where the fun and frivolity is, because these guys are going at it and they're not holding back. You see Phil here getting a bit of a run. He's got 2 more turns. Maybe he can throw it down the inside at the final turn. No. Looks like he's going to hold tight and maybe get a run and try and get a toe down the front straight here.
Yeah, looking to try and extend that final corner. You need momentum is key in these Vs. They stop really well, but they don't accelerate fast. So you want to make sure you keep up as much of a minimum entry speed as possible. That's what Phil's trying to do. He's trying to go way out wide to the left-hand side, try and keep a nice sweeping arc. And as we see them, 2 by 2. Yeah, 2 by 2 going into the first turn here. Phil King taking a look at the chaos, seeing if he can capitalize it all, trying to go on the inside, getting a little sideways though. That's going to slow him down, and unfortunately not going to allow him to do this. But here we go, Adam Lavis now in the attack range.
Is about to say, he just joined the pack. So he's just driving the straightest lines possible, least amount of resistance, highest apex speeds, and he's right on there. So it's now a 6-car battle. How good is this?
Yep, have a look at the previous lap times there. Levis well and truly ahead on all of them. 1.8 seconds faster that last lap. That was when Phil King accidentally went off to the left and dropped back from the group, and then 2/10 and a second on that last lap. So Levis has been driving a crazy good race thus far, and now that he's part of this pack, yeah, time will tell.
He did get caught up in that turn to Schmozzle where he almost came to a stop,
yes,
so he's had to really come back. I don't know if he started up a second lawnmower engine to get back to this pack, but he's been driving really well. Look at this draft train. Joe Baldwin, he'd be looking in his mirrors. He'll be having dinner plates for eyes as he sees them going 3 wide.
Oh, that's Proctor
in the
there.
back.
So,
Proctor 2x2 behind him.
Yep, 2x2 again.
Adam through. Adam's made up another spot. He's through on Phil King. And the more these guys muck around, the closer that John Merritt pack behind is catching them. Which
Pulse tuning train.
Exactly. Just to point that out, Glenn Riddell set the fastest lap at a 43.2 on the last lap by looks of things. So they're catching. Here they are. They're the bottom of the shot. There's 3 Pulse tuning cars coming for these 6 guys in front. So it's going to be an 8-car race for second in, I would dare say, a lap, maybe half a lap. 2x2x2, far out. By 2 in the background as well. So these guys are not holding back.
Yeah, good job there by Baldwin, though. Shot up on the inside, managed to get back P2 from Tony Baker. That was side by side going down that main straight, and they're about to do it again. Tony Baker pushes. So 2, 2, 2, and then a train of 3 behind. They've got to be careful not to touch wheels. Proctor almost getting in the side of Kevin Henderson, but there was enough there. Levis gains a position. Phil King drops back into P7 now. Surely there's only this and 1 lap to go.
Just want to point out our co-commentator there, Sam Chapman, with a 9.4 second lead.
Yeah, he's away. He's gone.
John Merritt with plus 16, Glenn Riddell plus 16, Adam Levis plus 17, Adam Proctor plus 15, Tony Baker plus 16. So all those guys are doing really well. So Kurt's just saying he had some hardware issues. Looks like he might have to fasten them down and get back in for race 3.
Yeah, this was Kurt.
We got a replay here. There's this Kurt. Okay, yeah. He's just found that his pedals are just, something's going on there.
We go.
Back to live pictures, into the shell turn. Tony Baker here. In, I guess, the highest placed pulse tuning car. Oh, man. All you see is suspension.
This is
canoes and suspension.
Yeah, this is a moderately fast game of leapfrog, is what we're watching here. Phil King at the back end of this train, but look at that. Glenn Riddell is only 0.6 behind. The Pulse Tuning boys have managed to catch up to a point. You can see the white flag flying. Phil King's getting run out of road. Manages to keep it straight, though. So they are there, but there's only 1 lap to go. Sam Chapman is well and truly down. You can see it on that track map there. The 101 is already 2 or 3 corners ahead. Yeah, so he's got this in the bag. The real thing is going to be if Joe Baldwin can keep these guys at bay. Now, that is a lapped car ahead who is pulling off. He just wants nothing of that. I can't imagine what it looks like in that review. Just 7 angry Hornets flying by. And I'll tell you what, if Glenn Riddell can keep to the back of this, we might actually have a proper fight in the last sector of this race.
Well, that's it. Who's last in this train? John Merritt. Oh, Tim Harris.
Yeah, Tim Harris.
He could potentially gain. There's 9 of them there. He could potentially go from 10th to 2nd if there's a muck up in front. So you just don't know. Joe's got the tiniest of gaps, maybe 1 car length to the rest of them.
Yeah, this is the largest. Yeah, this is the largest gathering of pencils I've ever seen in my life.
I call it Crayolas.
Yeah, that's good. That's a full box of Crayolas right there. So Joe Baldwin seems to be doing okay here. 3 wide, almost 3 by 3 as they come into the next turn. Levis is shooting right up in the middle there. Phil King gets pushed out a little bit. Riddell is now there on the attack. Look at him, the Pulse Tuning boys looking to bully. We can see that Sam Chapman is about to cross the line. I would cut over, but this is way too aggressive. I want to see what happens here. Final turn.
Wow. It's a drag race down the hill. Looks like Joe Baldwin's going to take out 2nd with Adam Proctor 3rd. And then it looks like Baker, Levis, Henderson, King.
And Riddell lost out at the back there.
Harris and Riddell.
He dropped from 8th to 10th. John Merritt and Tim Harris pipped him right at the end. So it's an unfortunate one for him. But wow, I can't believe that they actually managed to catch up that fast.
That's it. You work together for just look at anything. Together, everybody achieves more. Work together to a common goal. Keep in line. Make the draft faster. And these guys are fighting in front. And yeah, they caught them back up. So we're going to have a bit of a warm up, and then it's race 3. What's that inverted top 10?
Yes, that's correct. And the other thing too is, keep a look at that timing tower. Tim Harris and John Merritt cross the line according to the timing with .001 difference. I wonder if maybe...
Absolutely ridiculous.
There is a photo finish here, so I'm going to go back and see if I can find where... Here we go. So I'll just watch it a little bit.
Replay.
Of course it would cut. High
Cut to
racing.
the next session.
Unfortunately, okay, that's all right. What we'll do instead? No, unfortunately, when it changes,
lose that session.
It loses the session. So instead, what we'll do is we'll just take a recap of the results for the 2 races that have been held thus far. So there are your results for the sprint race one. John Merritt won, takes 30 points home. Glenn Cedar-Riddell in P2, Adam Lavis in P3, and Schultz P4. Tim Harris, Adam Proctor, Tony Baker, Phil King, Pete Madsen, and Garen Batten ran out the top 10 there. And then we go to heat number 2, sprint race 2. Sam Chapman wins with a 10.3 second gap in the field. There was absolutely no competition there, but Joe Baldwin did a really good job to hold off the angry train behind him all the way down to P10. So that was 9 cars in that train.
In a row,
cars. And a good job there from Ryan Tate there as well. P11, Aiden Schultz, P12, all the way down to Colin Bennett in P20. Yes, as you alluded to, Nick, they're just going to have a slight warm-up, and then we'll be able to get race 3 underway.
Well, while I've got them in here, Sam Chapman, how about that? How was that for you? It must have been boring out the front.
Mate, it's I mean, boring's an interesting term. When you're winning, you don't complain too much. Right? It's you know, I'm probably not in the greatest state to be having battles with everyone. It looks like there was some incredible battling going on. I was just looking at the relatives behind me, and it looks like there was some incredible battling going on behind. So. But yeah, no, it was lucky to slip through, and yeah, it was pretty happy days from there.
Yeah, well done on the win. So I'm going to cut to Joe here, who finished second with, mate, you had the rocket boosters on and made your way up and then held them off. How was your race from your perspective?
I'm buggered. Almost.
On the go.
It was a great race, actually. Like, that was heart rate up, like, adrenaline was good fun, like, nice and clean. Unfortunately, I got Garth on that turn 1 down at turn 3. Lap 1 down at turn 3. We got in there, car got on the inside, and I didn't know how close he was, and it just bit a net code, and I turned Garth around. So apologies to him for that. But yeah, no, it was a great race. So hopefully we can back it up in this one.
All right, so I'm just going to run through the grid here, guys. So inverted top 10. Glenn Cedar-Riddell, Tim Harris, John Merritt make your first 3. Phil King, rounding out the second row, Kevin Henderson and Adam Lavis, Tony Baker, Adam Proctor, Joe Baldwin and Sam Chapman. So now Sam's back to 10th again.
Very strong top of that order as well, isn't it? So
yeah,
a really interesting one.
I got a feeling they joined the back of the train to make it a 9-car flight, but they might have deliberately, I don't know, gamesmanship to get the pole here.
Well,
Ryan Tate, Aiden Schultz, Pete Madsen, Greg Paget, Batten, Bowman, Heaney Thomas, Horsfall and Bennett. And that'll be the top 20 there. We got Nealon and Nommensen and Butler at the back end there. So now, here we go. Final race. The feature. Air-cooled Volkswagens at full revs, smoking, and away we go. The Pulse Tuning boys at the front of the field, leading them down the hill. Glenn Cedar-Riddell, Tim Harris, and John Merritt. That's everybody through. And we're 2 wide, 3 wide at the very back there, and we're going to sort ourselves out here. Tony Baker in 5th there. He could make it Pulse Tuning 1, 2, 3, 4. Kevin Henderson in 7th on the run up the hill here, behind Phil King and Tony Baker. Looking back now, Ryan Tate here on the inside here into turn 3. In 10th position, just behind Joe Baldwin there. And it looks like he's got Adam Proctor to his outside. No, Sam Chapman, sorry, my apologies. Sam Chapman and Adam Proctor both in the same team colours there, and they're on the outside of Ryan Tate. Into the triple turn. And down to the first. Oh, no! Ryan Tate ran over the back of his wheel.
I think his wheel is, I think that's flat. I think that's a flat tire. That car is
flat
leaning.
Or a broken suspension, yeah. It's going to be a long night now.
Yeah, he'll have to come in for a fast report. Whoa, turn, mate.
He
No, he can't. No, he's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
I think he's dead in the water. That's unfortunate. Yeah, guys running off on the background back there. Far out. All right, looks like John Merritt is leading the way. He's got the position coming into the Shell chicane or Shell fast turn, whatever you want to call it. Kevin Henderson here. Phil King battling. Duck tape as he has on the side of the car. And we're on board with Joe Baldwin. Through the second last turn. The bow curve and into the Zeppelin curve, so down the front straight. Completion of the first lap. We've got a 15-minute race here. And yeah, John Merritt from Glenn Citadel and Tim Harris as we got on the outside of Joe Baldwin there, Sam Chapman. It's like he had an extra gear.
Obviously
having a look down the inside. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying, obviously had a better exit coming out of that final turn. And look at that, that's Baker. Baker's gotten wide.
Baker.
So he's dropped off from that front. Actually, it looks like he's got damage. Maybe not, actually. Maybe he was just slowing down. I thought that car was leaning. It looks like it is actually quite straight. So, yeah, possibly just going a little sideways, but he has now dropped off that front.
Maybe he had the wrong gear or something,
yeah. Possibly. So John Merritt still leading this race. Tim Harris in P2. Adam Lavis is right there in P3, but the big question is going to be Sam Chapman had a 10-second lead last race, but now he's got to work his way from P10. He's already gained 3 spots, P7 now. The biggest mover in the race is Brendan Nealon. He's up 6 spots from his original start. He's currently in P15, but with 15 minutes on that clock, 3 minutes has now gone by. Will Sam Chapman be able to work his way back to the front, or will the 6 cars ahead of him make it a difficult possession? Time will tell. Have a look at Hendo just trying to push.
Oh, jeez.
Sam
looking for the inside here. 3 wide. Going into the first part of the Shell turn.
Oh, but he does it.
Sam's got it.
He does it. Butcher P5 now. Oh, get back on, Kevin. Oh, he's kept it. Well done.
Far out.
Schultz is going to shoot at the P9 now as well as they come around that final turn. So you can see no love lost between any of them. They are pushing hard. The brake pedal is more of a suggestion in these cars rather than a necessity.
We got two distinct groups. We got the first 4, and then we got these. How many in this second group? 2 by 2 back there. 2, 4.
So 5 to 11. That's 6.
Guys. Yeah. So we got Adam here chasing these pulse tuning guys. In 4th there, and then there's a bit of a gap. What's the gap there? 2 seconds back to Joe Baldwin, Phil King, Proctor, Schultz, Henderson, and Pete Madsen at the back of that little gaggle of cars there in the second group. So run down the hill.
Yeah, now that Chapman's actually just got to the front of that second group, more than likely he'll be able to put in faster laps. With the clean air, I don't think anybody's going to be able to touch him pace-wise as they go, as they progress to the next couple of laps. Baldwin actually is doing a really good job just sticking to the back of that V. We'll see if he can do it for the next couple of turns because he will have an advantage as he comes to the back straight here at Oschersleben. I'm just curious to see if he'll be able to shoot to the right. Oh, Sam goes too fast! Goes up into the grass. That's going to slow him down, so that is exactly the opportunity that Joe Baldwin needed.
Sam just set the fastest lap of the race as well, 43.5, and he's just lost the spot there to Joe Baldwin. But these straights are long enough for these cars that it will make a difference, and you can see that. Oh,
that's Phil King and Adam Proctor.
They just decimated the group now. It was 6 of them. Now it's just 2 plus 1. So it looks like these guys.
Look at the speed here. Oh! Oh, goes slide, goes out again.
On the gravel.
So that's going to kill the momentum down this back straight. The draft will kick in. You will see that 101 car get slightly bigger in the camera in a moment, but he was going to make a very early overtake had he have kept that speed, but unfortunately hitting the gravel has killed that opportunity there. So Baldwin will stay in P5 for now, and since we had that crash between Phil King and Adam Proctor, there is now another gap there. You can see 3.2 to Tony Baker at the back there, and I think Sam Chapman just tried to shoot down the inside, didn't quite get the move done.
Kept it a little tighter there through the turn 2 complex, but I think him and Joe need to work together and draft up to that group in front.
4 second gap now.
So Pete Matson sitting in behind those guys as well, and then yeah, there's a bit of a gap behind Pete. And side by side. And it looks like Sam might. No, Joe coming back on the inside.
Oh, well held, well held, sir. In the stealth entry. Look at him go. And
we're only going to slow each other up, though. That's the problem.
That is the problem. So that's the duality of a racer, which is to be able to catch the cars ahead, you have to be able to work together. But who wants to work together when there's a position at play? So Sam Chapman now going to shoot up down the inside. He will have the advantage because he had the draft there. Joe will have no choice. That's
who's that? There's one of the Pulse tuning cars off the road there. Who was that?
That's John Merritt.
John Merritt, he's dropping down the timing list right now as we speak, so everybody's going past him. Wonder what happened there. We'll have to have a look. Here we go, the Spreyton replay. He's in the lead. 4th gear, coming into the shell turn. Oh, he's had a steering failure. Software failure.
Yeah. Look, there's no input there in the car. Yep. Oh, no.
He can't even, he's not even stopping. Oh, that's unlucky. Oh, you'd be gutted after that. So now the top 4 turns into a top 3, and the 6 cars behind have turned into 2. So we got here Glenn Cedar-Adele from Tim Harris with Adam Lavis on the back of them. A gap, and then Joe and Sam going at it, and Pete's coming in to have a bit of a say. Pete's having a bit of an observation, I think, before he gets in there, but no. Joe Baldwin back to the front. These guys really need to get line of stand and catch the guys in front.
Yeah, I think that might be out of the window though. 7 minutes 50-15 in total for this race. 5.8 seconds down the road is Adam Lavis in that top 3. And so I feel like that's too far. I don't think they've got enough left to be able to catch them.
Maybe there's more cars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if there was, they'd probably be able to do like draft tag all the way down, but I think for now all these guys are going to settle into is who can come fourth, and Sam Chapman's definitely going to try that. But Pete Matson's done a really good job to just sit behind and assess, and maybe he'll be able to find a flaw with these two, or maybe that's John Merritt. That's John Merritt's car parked on the side of the road.
I was going to say, far out. Adam Lavis with the previous fastest lap of the race, a 42.9. So just getting faster as the night goes on as well, guys. And we're going into the final corner. Pete Matson here, he's in 6th place. So we got the top 3, and then the next 3, and then there's a big gaggle behind them. So we'll get to those guys in just a sec, but Sam's just disappeared.
Sam!
He just disappeared. He should reappear. Sam?
No, I think he's
done.
Yeah, I think he got booted so far out that it reset him to pits. No.
Yep, he's just dropped down the list here. He's now on our timing screens. He's sinking like a rock. So something's going on there. And then there were 2. So now top 3 on the run down to the triple left-hander here. What's Adam Lavis thinking right now? I reckon he's going to let these guys drag him around, and then in the final 2 laps he's going to have a real good go.
He's probably thinking, take each other out. Take each other out. Take each other out.
Well, I mean, with the happenings of this race, everybody's been dropping or taking themselves out, or something's going on. So you just got to stick with these guys, and hopefully they do something and, like you said, take each other out. Let's see if that John Merritt car is still to the inside here. I don't think it's on the track map, so I think he's finally got
it's showing as out on the timing tower, so that would suggest that he's in pit lane right now. So yeah,
Unlucky for him.
it's weird.
Actually leading the race and then having a steering failure like that.
Yeah, it's not something you would expect to see. Of all the things that could happen, you would not expect to see John Merritt and Sam Chapman go out due to failures like that.
Yeah.
So,
What, do you mean I have really good internet, Daniel? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, well, I mean, it has been better than it has in the past. I didn't expect you to... Usually you blink, that's one thing, right? But
You
this
blink
time...
once and you're gone.
Yeah, so I was dropping out, and then I was like, and then it did its final dropout manoeuvre and kicked me out. So I'm a lap down now. We'll see where we can get. Am I ninth? It reckons. What's been going on this race, boys? 13th. No, it's fake news. I was being spread fake news. Don't worry.
Got you in 21st.
Ah, 21st. Oh, jeez. All right, fair enough.
Oh, Pete Matten's had an off.
Joe went to the left side of you. Pete's off. Joe went to the inside of you, and you blinked, and then you disappeared, and then Joe just gently moved back over to the racing line because you went there. I was like, what the hell?
Good move, Joe. Good move.
You'll see it back in the replay. It's actually quite funny. Unlucky, though. Head down. See what you can get out of this one. We'll see here, Adam Lavis here. Still on the back of these Pulse tuning cars. They're down to 2 at the front. And
to me,
Joe Baldwin's got in front of Tony Baker there.
Yeah, to me, what it seems like is Adam's just biding his time. This isn't Formula V's is not something you want to lead necessarily, unless of course you're Sam Chapman and you're fucking 10 seconds down the road. But they do touch.
Oh, wow, that was the closest. I don't think they did, but man, that's as close as you want to get. They changed to the lead. Adam had a look, and you saw that live on board on Adam's car. I think they almost touched. Can't get closer to that, and Adam Lavis still has the fastest lap of the race at a 42.905. Hopefully, Sam, you can get that. 42.905 is what you need to get. Get an extra point for the fastest lap. As we see the top 3 going into the turn 1-2 complex. Joe Baldwin, Tony Baker across the line. Henderson, Schultz, Paget, Nealon, Batten and Bennett have all crossed the line. And I think, Daniel, we might need to go back to Kevin Henderson here because he's got a whole gaggle of cars behind him.
Yeah, it looks like that they've managed to bunch each other up now. So Greg Paget was fighting Aiden Schultz a moment ago. Actually, he looks down the inside. Doesn't quite have the speed, though. So Schultz will maintain P7 for now. And so Joe Bolton's racing his own race. He's currently in P4. He's got 6 seconds ahead and 6 seconds behind.
6 seconds behind,
so, yeah. He's just racing himself at the moment.
Now you're just doing time trials.
But I'll be curious to see if Adam can actually make the move stick, because every time he gets close, it does seem like Tim manages to inch ahead. So will Riddell take out the win here, or will Tim Harris try to overtake his teammate? I'm not sure, but I think we've only got about a lap and a half to go. 13:35 as the number close. 64 is coming around the final turn. So we could actually be on...
Here they are, final turn.
We could actually be on the white flag.
White flag this lap, boys. White flag this lap. So it's going to be an interesting one, because you actually do want to be leading into that final section, but whether or not you want to be leading onto that final straight is a real question mark going into that chicane there, because you can overtake there, but everywhere else is going to be a pretty difficult overtake point. So we'll see how these guys go.
Here we are on board with Adam Lavis running back up the hill with Tim Harris and Riddell, Glenn Riddell in front of him into turn 3 here. They're still line astern. Little different lines here through the turn. You can see Glenn takes a later apex, whereas the other two take a bit of an early one. Adam might have the slight run down the hill here, but it's going to go into that triple turn, which is each turn is successively slower. So he's not going to have a good enough go through here. He's got to set him up for the back chicanes, I think. Third gear. Oh,
it's wide.
Glenn Sitter Riddell runs a bit wide, yeah. But he's come back for a later apex and a straighter run out. You can see he takes off. So let's see what these guys have got for him. Adam Lavis is closing inch by inch here on Tim Harris. Through the fast turn onto the back straight.
It's a good exit. Good exit.
It's a really good exit. What does he get? He goes to the inside. Will he get the inside of the shell turn?
Oh, not quite.
Harris stays to the inside there, outside, which is the inside of the second part. And final 2 turns. We're looking back from Glenn Sitter Riddell's car. So he's got a bit of a gap now.
He's got this here.
As we see Glenn Sitter Riddell coming onto the front straight, taking out, if he doesn't miss any gear changes, taking out race 3 here at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben from Tim Harris and Adam Lavis. Joe Baldwin in 4th. I think that was you, Sam, was it?
No, I was 21st. I was a lap down, just dawdling around.
Oh, just in between there?
Yeah,
and then we got
I had to reload.
Baker, Henderson, Paget, and nose to tail there. Who was that?
Batten and Bennett.
Batten and Bennett. I apologise to people who are in the race and wanted to see themselves. There's been so much going on that we're trying our best to show you the top fights. But everybody looks like they're having a great time. And that was one of the things when we first set these smaller races up at the start, is to actually have a bit of a fun time, have a small quick race, and then get into the serious stuff for the second stuff. So the second race, I should say, for the second car. So Barney's arm must be getting tired, waving that checkered flag. We see Adam Proctor coming across. But some of these guys are the ones that spun out earlier in the race, so unlucky to them. Brett Bradbury, woohoo, P7 for Greg Paget, well done. Yes, well done. We'll have a run through those in just a sec, once everybody's crossed the line. I think that's it. So your feature race results are Glenn Sitter Riddell, 5/10 over Tim Harris, and another 9/10 back to Adam Lavis. The top 3, Joe Baldwin in 4th, Tony Baker in 5th, Kevin Henderson in 6th, Greg Paget in 7th, Brendan Nealon in 8th, Aidan Schultz 9th, and Greg Batten in 10th, with Colin Bennett right on his tail in 11th. Pete Matson spun his way back down to 12th. He was up in 6th at one point, wasn't he? Phil Butler in 13th, Lachlan Thomas 14th, Mark Bowman 15th, Greg Heaney in 16th, Adam Proctor 17th. He was another one who was up there as well. Garth Horsfall in 18th, Phil King in 19th, and Kurt Normanson in 20th. He was the last car on the lead lap. Sam Chapman in 21st, John Merritt, unluckily, in 22nd, 6 laps down, and Ryan Tate 9 laps down, and looks like Ambo St. John didn't take part in that race. So, are these updated now?
Yes, they are. These are provisional as of today.
Oh, jeez.
Glenn Sitter Riddell there, looks like he's on top on 158 from Adam Lavis on 140, and rounding out the top 3, Tony Baker on 128, equal again with Joe Baldwin on 128. Sam Chapman there in 5th on 122, Kevin Henderson 108, Phil King 103, Ryan Tate 87, oh it's a big gap there, Brendan Nealon 84, and Aidan Schultz rounding out the 10 on 80. So, Sam, where are we heading to next week?
That's actually a good question.
Sorry, I don't have my iRacing open. I'd have the calendar there. Donington.
Give me 2. With Donington next week. Donington will be good for these. You know, as I said previously, we're going to do like a slightly closer tracks than what we were doing last season. Yeah, they're not all sort of entirely slipstream. I think Donington will be good for that. So that'll be fun next week.
Yeah, Donington National, so that's a chicane at the final turn instead of the 2 hairpins. That'll be pretty good.
Yes. Those 2 hairpins, they're a bit odd. So, but having said that, that chicane can be pretty tricky as well. So I'll be interested to see how people go there.
Yeah, back out of it and then try and get the person down into turn 1. That should be good fun. I see you got Algarve there, Sonoma, Snetterton 300, so you got the long version there, Virginia, Circuit Gilles, Sebring, and then round 10 is going to be a bit of surprise, so we'll see what happens there. After last night at Knock Hill, oh, you guys have already done it. Man, Knock Hill must have been a good round.
Knock Hill was good fun. It was hard yakka from a reverse grid perspective, but yeah, it was good fun round there, and it suits these cars, right? Like it is exactly the right track for those, and you know, you're obviously going to have pretty good control of the car, you know, going over everything. But yeah, like the tightness and that sort of thing of the circuit really does suit them. So yeah, that was good fun last week.
What for me? I haven't. I think I've driven these things once. What's the trick with these cars? Do they like to compression lock and lock up, or they like to?
Yeah, so they do like to lock. I mean, they're rear-engined as well, so you know they're easy enough to spin, and you don't have a lot of power to try and power out of it. You can to a certain degree. So if this corner we're looking through here, there is an aspect that you can sort of let that rear come out a little bit and then power out of it, but you know you don't have very much power. So really, what you're trying to do is you play around with that rear end, make sure you obviously not push the front end too far. And stay within a slipstream distance of those guys in front of you and take what opportunities you can without wasting time.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Well, I'm unlucky in that third race, but fantastic drive on the second race. I guess you just got to keep out of trouble now until the end of the season.
Well, I mean, this is my usual situation at the start of the season. I mean, Anzac Day today, I was stuck in a pub in the inner west until very recently, and then hopped on the wrong train home, so desperately hopped on in the Uber to try and get home in time. So logged in with 30 seconds to go of Quali, which I'll pay that. I'm pretty. But also then my internet lets me down, so you know.
Hey, you got a race win out of 3 races, but yeah. Oh, well, well done and all considering the circumstances. That was bloody awesome. So, all right, I'm gonna jump across to Kurt here. So, Kurt, how was your 3 races, and give us some highlights of your night tonight?
I definitely think I could have done better in my few races. I had a few stupid mistakes. A couple of them were just trying not to hit other people and going too far across a curb or something. I really messed up the last race. Didn't detect my clutch as I pushed it in, so it gave me a jump start.
Oh, been there, done that, yeah. That's unfortunate. What's your biggest takeaway from tonight?
I definitely think I can get some more pace out of the V and run with the guys, so that was a good takeaway, that I'm not too far off pace if I put the practice in.
Yeah. How long have you been at this iRacing caper?
I've only had the account sort of since 2021, but I didn't really get back into it till last year, so
okay.
Only really about a year.
Well, when Sam's not under the weather, I think you should hit him up for some special tutoring, because he had once he got in front of the field, he pulled 10 seconds on in the second race there. So plenty of good people to learn from. What's in store for you in terms of GSRC next race or next championship? What have we got ahead on the cards?
Well, I've been doing GT3, GT4, and the Super Formulas as well as Formula.
Are you doing that next?
Yeah. So I'll be out on track again tonight.
Fantastic. All right, and well, look. That is the Formula V. How long have we got, Daniel, till the Super Formula Juniors?
We've got about 10 to 15, I believe.
All right. We'll slowly run through the partnerships that this wonderful club, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, has. Again, Waste Options, been there for a while. Spreyton, non-alcoholic cider, my apologies, sorry guys, for Spreyton. Non-alcoholic cider, we got Orbic Australia there, Leavesy Racing, M-Wave, and Flash Graphics, guys. So please go and visit their websites, go and visit their Facebooks. Mention that you saw them on their broadcast here at Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We continue to pump out the good motorsport for you. We've got 5 nights a week at the moment for this season of the year. Motorsport, we got V8s and GT3s on a Monday. We got up and comers on Tuesdays. We got, what's Wednesdays? It was production cars and GT4s. We got these little buzz boxes and the Super Formula lights coming up next, so stick around, guys and girls. Sam Chapman's going to be leading that one. And then on Friday night, the SRX NASCAR style racing as well. So 5 nights of broadcast racing, and we still have 6 months what we do now and then on Saturday nights. But you've got to go to iRacing account, feel free to try and join the club or jump in. And good to see you on the track. Other than that, I think I need a glass of water. And that's Formula V racing. If you guys don't have a commentator next week, I might still turn up. But man, that was top-notch motorsport there. As slow as they are, it's still very technical, and you got to get in there.
100%, 100%. Formula V's always deliver, but it is the Super Formulas that we will end this night on. While you go and get yourself a glass of water, we'll take a short break. Don't go anywhere. Super Formulas up next.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Super Formula Lights on the platforms of the GSRC tonight. I'm neither Nick Fodiatis or Zach Caban. I'm Seb Chapman bringing to you the commentary tonight from the Hungaroring, which probably serves some people like, some people don't like from an F1 capacity, but I think these cars are probably exactly the right size for it. We've had a little bit of rain in Quali once again, like we've had to cop last week at Monza. So it's once again potentially a mixed up grid. I'm not sure what the weather is looking like for the main race, but what we do know is Jackson Rayhana from Summit Spin Sports is the top of the championship and sitting on pole position. So 61 points for him. Jack Humphreys in second place in the championship there. Jamie Welch, Joshua Robertson and Avon Maverick making up the top 5. David Baz, Jackson Dial, Cam Culverwell, Julian Mookie and David Christensen making up the top 10 there. If we look towards those, okay, so where are we at with weather here? So temperature 20 degrees, we're a bit above water. Do we have any rain things on this graphic that I'm missing here, Dan?
It would be precipitation, which is the teardrop there. So 88% it's registering as now, but do remember that once qualifying finishes, time actually moves forward like it would in a real session to the race. So we'll see whether or not that stays the same or whether or not that changes. We won't know until the session kicks forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see there 34 kilometres an hour wind. While we probably don't need to worry too much about wind in a lot of cars within these servers, these are downforce vehicles and it makes a big difference. So if that is blowing towards the back of you going down the main straight or to the forward of you, it'll make a big difference as to your stopping distance. So these guys will have to play around with that in the race while also understanding whether or not there is dampness on the track. So Jackson Rayhana with a 1:45.642 takes pole position against Paul Rogers there on the front row. So Summit Spin Sports, the 75 Sim Sports there. Adam Maverick and David Baz on that second row. Aiden Luthwaite and Brett Barker on the third row. Mark Gomez and Adam Proctor on the fourth row. And Matt Schmidtke and Cam Culverwell making up the top 10. Big field here tonight as well, like we had in the first one, which is excellent to see, even on a track where people, I had to purchase this track myself to have a look at it. So Jackson Dial in 11th spot for Whiskey Business, Jack Humphreys in 12th, Julian Mookie in 13th, John Baldwin in 14th, Paul Wilson in 15th, next to Aidan Schultz in 16th, Paul Wood in 17th, next to Eduardo Zamora. Jaden Green and Richard King make up the top 20 there. Scott Jordison, Kurt Nommensen are 21st and 22nd. Stephen Crediton and Jeff Adams make up 23rd and 24th. Elio Mirabella, Daniel Piper, Guy Leach, Liam Banks, Wayne Visser and Mark Namra make up the top 30 there, but it keeps going. So we got Greg Heaney there in 31st, Leon Amos in 32nd, Glenn Cito Riddell in 33rd, 34th is Trent Allen, 35th is Pete Matson, and 36 is Tony Baker, I think, rounding out our field here. So they're all lining up. It'll be interesting to see who has a good start. There is a trick to getting a good start in these, and it's about 21% clutch if you're using a double clutch. So we'll see who's spinning wheels and who isn't. But they're going right round the corner out the back. Looks like at this point Rayhana has a good start. If my Discord actually wants to load what's in front of me. But let me throw to you for a tick, Dan, because I'm seeing nothing at this point.
Yep, not a problem. Okay, so obviously kicking off the race here, and a big crash at the back. There's multiple cars involved. We'll try and figure out exactly who that was in just a moment. But for now, will stay on board here in the top 10. That's Adam Proctor just losing out of position to Jacqueline Dahl. Actually, they go back and forth as Dahl manages to sneak up on the left-hand side and take that position away as we load the race tower. And everybody starts to resolve after that first hiccup. We'll try and understand what went wrong. They make the way around, and it looks like it was Paul Wood that managed to get the worst of that. Here we are. So they come around the first turn. We know the Hungaroring. Oh, and there's a multitude of cars that are involved in that. Almost like the Bottas bowling incident we saw a couple of years ago. And he actually managed to avoid significant damage there, Paul Wood did, so well done, sir. Yep.
Yeah, well, I was wondering whether we'd see a few people starting from pit lane while we had the pole sitter sitting on first position there, Dan, like we saw a couple of years ago as well. But not to be. Jackson Rehana has taken the lead, and he is one of very few that are a second ahead of the guy behind. So very good start for him. That's it. Actually, it has just started working now. But good fight for second place there too. Wow.
There goes David Baz.
Yeah.
Tough going into turn one there. Ended up losing the position. So that drops him back towards Brett Barker there in P5.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting thing about these cars too. So you'll see most cars, there's a decent enough slipstream until maybe about a second interval. These cars, you don't get much slipstream until you're within about 0.6, 0.5, and then it starts really kicking in. So if you see people dropping out of that sort of zone, it can actually be a bit risky. Adam Maverick sort of seeing what was going on there, gifting that position, not wanting to fight it too hard, and knowing full well we've got 40 minutes to go of this race ahead. Is there much point putting everything on the line in the first couple of laps? It's an easy thing to do, to try and push very, very hard in the early set. Doesn't go, no, this position's mine, but it can be very, very costly. So good job there, but Colwell ahead is now over a second away from the cars ahead of him, and actually has probably just made an error because it's about 1.5 seconds ahead now. So Adam will have to be careful if he doesn't want to lose those cars ahead. Also, third place, massive battle for second place there with Luthwaite and Rogers. Looks like they're side by side. If
Luthwaite's made the move now, so Paul Rogers is just sticking back. And another thing, the point, there's an interesting decision that's been made here. So Jack Humphrey started the race on wet tyres. He's the only person who has done so. And John Baldwin has come into the pits and gone to wets as well. So if we have a look at the weather forecast there, the precipitation rating is at 87%. But SDK hasn't updated itself with a forecast as such. So I'm not sure in terms of a timeline or anything like that as to whether or not we might see rain coming.
So that's an interesting move. So I've just gone in a test drive, and I've got Race Labs that has a weather tracker as well. And it's saying precipitation at 0%.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that is inaccurate, and I need to not be trusting Race Labs.
Nah,
but
probably SDK
I'm
is
not. Well, I mean, yeah, who knows? Who knows? We've got all these third-party apps to deal with iRacing's inadequacies effectively. But yeah, so as well, the fighting in Super Formula Light is just unreal. It is brilliant. It is that perfect mix in my view, and then because I raced these last week, relatively ineffectively I'll say, but and we'll be racing them for the rest of the season when Zach Caven decides to turn up for his job on Thursday nights. But they are that perfect mix of downforce and still that ability to naturally be able to catch that car ahead, use that slipstream and fight really effectively.
Liam Banks trying to shoot up on the inside of Julian Mookie there. Didn't quite work. It was a good attempt. Trying to get a switchback coming into turn 2. Interesting fact about the Hungaroring. Technically, it is registered as having 14 corners, but there are 16 because there is a 1A and a 12A. As Liam Banks tries to go on the inside. Now, that's the curb of death. That is the nickname for it. It's very, very slippery there. It's a concrete curb on the inside of turn 5. So you're going to be very, very careful about that. Having said that, though, now that I think about it, that is, my memory is coming from the F1 games. So chances are that's not actually accurate at all.
What do you mean? The F1 games aren't a particularly accurate representation of everything? Dan, I can't believe that.
No.
Yeah, who would have thought? Who would have thought, hey?
Hold on a minute. Is Adam... That guy never ceases to amaze me. Adam Proctor, ladies and gentlemen. That is a car covered in... That's a Heinz livery covered in baked beans.
I love it. I love it. I love a good livery. Like, and these are new cars too. So someone's come up with that in the last month or so, because these are all new cars. So you love to see it. They're popular cars though. I've seen a lot. There's a lot of officials work going on in these, and very clearly here. Wow, that's deep. Yeah.
How did he live? How did Jackson Dial pull that car up? Are you serious?
Oh, it is a funny thing about these things. You can get so close to locking and then you look like a genius, and as soon as one wheel locks up, you're done. But now he's so close behind, and he'll try and pop it around the outside, and you can pop it around the outside in these once again. Oh, that's tricky.
Oh no, he's gone too deep. He's gone too deep. So both of them ran wide. Mark Gomes ran wide coming out of turn 4. I'm curious of whether or not he would have got a speed a slowdown violation for that, because it did seem like he was 4 tyres over that line. But then Jackson did the exact same thing coming around turn 5. So I guess no harm, no foul.
There is certainly a speed. I think it's about a 1.1 second big speed penalty through there, because in learning the track, I got it every lap that I did. Not being able to, it's quite a blind corner through there, and I hadn't thought about what was ahead.
Oh, he's nutty, but he's actually spun him. There's contact, and that's put Mark Gomes off the track. And obviously probably not intentional, but yeah, just going a little too fast around turn 13, and so Mark Gomes drops all the way down to P11 there, and I have a feeling Race Control might have something to say about it.
Yes, as soon as there's contact in these sort of cars, the Race Control will be having a look. They do take a little bit of front to back, but it does not take much to damage them or to spin someone around. So yeah, Race Control will be having a look at that. Joe Baldwin, El Presidente, in the Race Control room tonight, after a showing in V's, where he managed to stay connected to the internet, which is good. But meanwhile, I'm still struggling with that, Dan, unfortunately. I'm getting bits and pieces of this feed at this point. But fortunately, SDK is downloaded now, so I may be able to watch my own feed at least. Oh, goodness.
That's Proctor. So there was... it's an interesting one there, I will say, and there's Race Control's ruling there. So Julian Mookie gave... well, actually, that's for a different incident altogether. Insufficient racing room causing a crash with Liam Banks on lap 5. Now, what we just saw there was Adam Proctor, and it seems as though Liam Banks goes round the outside here at turn 5, and then Adam wasn't expecting the slow up. Yep, locks that front left, the car spins round, and now he's got no front wing, so that car is going to be an absolute pig to drive back to the pit. Not ideal.
Mookie definitely called that in as well, so there will be Race Control looking at that. I know recently Race Control has been... historically, we've probably looked at everything as we've been race controlling throughout it. We're probably more focusing on what is called in now and not going too far into every little thing that goes on. If people are happy with it and don't want to call it in, then often we'll just let that go nowadays. But yeah, that was called in, so Joe will be having a look at that, and we'll see whether or not they race on.
Visser down in the turn one, locking up that tyre. Did get the overtake on Jeff Adams though, so Wayne Visser moves up into P16. Massive race for him. 13 positions gained based on his start. The only person that's done better than him is Liam Banks, who's up 19 positions. As we're 10 minutes and 50 seconds into 40. Jackson Rayhana still leading the race though, but not by much. 1.2 seconds to Luthwaite in P2, and David Baz close behind in P3.
So yeah, how's Banksy done that? So because I remember seeing that as well. Within like the first lap, about 14 of those positions have been gained as well.
Ooh, and gets a 10-second penalty.
Ooh, yep. There you go.
So that was causing damage with Julian Mocky on lap 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Significant.
Yeah.
That's a significant penalty.
Yeah, it is a significant penalty. I mean, they do have 40 minutes, right? So it is a significant penalty, but whether or not by the end of 40 minutes that can only become 1 or 2 positions is a very real situation there, and hopefully will be the case for them. But we will just have to see. So now we're on board with Baz. So Baz doing well here in third too. Just sitting behind Luthwaite here. Luthwaite has not been lost by Rayhana. Only 1.3 seconds ahead, Rayhana there. So this fight for the lead is still on. Luthwaite up 3 positions too, 1.2 behind at the moment. So if he keeps pushing, he could end up right in that slipstream. Those 3 well ahead of Barker behind and 5 seconds back. But this 3 could certainly tee off. I think a big reliance will be on Baz not to actually make the battle here with Luthwaite, and see whether or not he can be pulled forward, unless he really thinks he's got the pace to catch Rayhana. Also, we'll have pit strategies coming up, so we'll see, you know, maybe there is some fuel saving. Doesn't seem to be, there's probably not a massive benefit from fuel saving in these. It's not a, the fuel comes in pretty quick in these cars. Okay, Baz is going to make the move here.
Yeah, but he locks up that car.
He does, but he holds it, but he comes back in behind still. Yep. So didn't lose too much time. It was only a couple of tenths, but still, once again, it's allowing Rayhana to stretch his legs a little bit. As well, what you find with these cars, it'll be interesting to see who takes tyres and who doesn't. It is an option in these. If you're taking, I believe, at least what I've been told when I've been racing them, is the cutoff is 10 litres of fuel. If you're taking 10 litres or more, it's pretty much a free tyre change. You will be a little bit slower in earlier laps, but there is a chance around here. It's easy to overheat your rear tyres if you're not careful with the traction zones that come out. So Jason Dial,
a little wide there, coming around turn 1. So David Baz, based on judging on the pace that he's got, he's definitely faster than Luthwaite at the moment. Now, whether or not that has to do with draft or not, we will see. But the problem with David Baz is he just seems to cook it a little too hard into turn 1. What you want to do on a track like Hungaroring is, when you know you've got the draft, you need to slow the car up in the middle of the corner so that you block the momentum from the car that you're overtaking, which is hard to do, because obviously if you put too much brake pressure as you're going down, you will lock up, and instead of just slightly locking up, you'll absolutely banana skid right off the track. But the problem with him is he's got to get ahead, and then he's got to basically use that car like a wall and prevent the car is overtaken, which is Luthwaite in this case, to be able to get back on that power. Otherwise, Luthwaite is going to just switch back in every single time. So hopefully he figures that out in the next couple of laps, or if he can manage to get a move done before the main straight, in which case that won't be a problem. We can see just the car, that's Elio Mirabella down in P28, just moving out of the way as to not impede the leaders.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, despite them fighting, Jackson Rayhana is not developing a larger lead. So, you know, whether these guys are better off just sitting behind, you know, one of them will need to pit at some point. I would expect one of them pits before the other. Are they going to copy each other? I don't know. It is a big field, so pitting early could be really detrimental if you don't get that area there. So we're seeing a 5-second penalty for Stephen Crediton for an unsafe rejoin with Scott Jordison there. So Luthwaite just set the fastest lap of the race as well, 1:34.258, a couple of tenths faster than Rayhana ahead, and a couple of tenths faster than Baz behind, despite Baz being in that slipstream there. Baz is at risk now, actually, because he's now 0.85 behind Luthwaite, and that is really where the slipstream in these cars really starts to diminish significantly. So I would not be surprised if this ends up coming out to over a second very quickly if he does not pick up the pace here. This then also gives Luthwaite a chance to really set his mind to catching Jackson Rayhana here. Rayhana, I believe, was the winner of the first race, so it would be a big show of force for him to also come out here and win the second race, and he's doing a very good job at this point. He has not stepped a foot wrong, but also hasn't exactly stretched his legs. It's only 1.2 seconds behind for Luthwaite now. So I could see a battle for the lead going here. As we look back in the pack too, so we've got Heaney here, Heaney and Proctor, or Humphreys, sorry, having a battle. Once again, like we saw at Monza, the people have stretched out a little bit. You know, there's probably a lot of people within the GSRC that aren't super used to open wheel downforce vehicles, given, you know, we were more focused on that from just a sort of Friday perspective. Adam Maverick is someone who is used to them, despite his number showing up as 30, which I believe would be fake news. Wouldn't you agree, Dan? But somewhere along the line, the admin's gone wrong and he's ended up with 30. But following a long dial here, he was the winner of the Wings and Slicks last season, and will be trying to back that up this season. Whether or not he has the sheer pace of your Rayhanas and Luthwaites at the front potentially is up for question, but his ability to race in a consistent and well thought out manner will, I believe, keep him at the top of the table here, or near to you. But I would imagine, I would be surprised if he sits behind Dial until the pit stop, saving a bit of fuel, potentially saving a bit of tyre, deciding whether or not it is worth him taking some tyres or not, and going from there. We are 21 minutes into the elapsed time, which is fake news because it's actually 19 minutes and 18 seconds. That's from the start of the actual session itself, and they're all sitting on pit lane, so they're almost halfway through. We have had some pitters, but actually not that many, all things considered. I think a lot of them have probably come to the conclusion that hitting early could mean that you end up further back in the pack, and that's a risky game. You don't want to end up fighting with people unnecessarily. Dan, are you able to hear me properly? Because I'm just dropping in and out a little bit my side.
No, yeah, you're coming through just fine, mate. I understand that obviously your internet isn't playing well today, but yeah, no, you're coming through just fine.
We've had evidence as such throughout the night.
Jackson.
In fact, no, so this goes to show how bad it's going. Race control scoring has ended for my session that I've logged into, so I think it's closing the network device, so I've actually dropped out of this one as well, so go figure. But they stay behind here as well. Rogers and Barker are right next to each other.
Oh, deep into the corner, managing to just avoid the back of Barker there. Lucky.
Close.
Front wing damage
close.
is not something you want 20 minutes halfway through this race. So very lucky for Paul Rogers there to pull that up. Obviously, that's not going to be great for his tyres. Luckily, iRacing does not model flat spotting, and so he will get away with that somewhat. You don't want to be doing that too much.
Yeah, you definitely can cool these tyres back down again. And actually, it's an interesting thing because trying to do these downforce cars for the first time, I haven't really done much downforce before. How much you actually can push these tyres is pretty impressive before they start overheating, particularly those front tyres. But you still don't want to go over the top, and once you start locking up, it's very easy to continue to lock up and go into a bit of a death spiral. But having said that, he's still within that attack range right behind. I would imagine Barker will be sweating a little bit ahead, hoping that there are no lockups behind. They are largely keeping somewhat of a similar pace with the front cars, but actually, realistically, still about 5 to 7 tenths behind. So let's have a look at a replay. John Baldwin, I think, has just gone deep here in the first corner. He's called it a night. He's called it a night there. Clearly has not gone his way, and fair enough. So these top three. So Leithwaite still holds the best lap of the race here with a 34.257. They're all within pretty close company, but Baz has really dropped off. As I said, as soon as you're outside of that about 7/10 zone, you are no longer getting that slipstream. And yes, there is some aspect of dirty air, but realistically, dirty air is less of an impact than not having a tow in this vehicle in particular. So only 2 tenths down, 3 tenths down for 4th and 5th this lap, but they're still going to keep dropping places. So the top three are definitely the only ones, as far as I can tell, that will be in the fight. Leithwaite just making his way into that second mark of Rayhana as well. None of those guys have pitted, in my understanding. If we look back down, not a whole lot of battles. There's a lot of two-person battles so if we look here, so Jeff Adams on the back of Viz. Wayne Viz, a huge race from him, up 13 spots, so really good to see him doing well here. Jeff Adams, no slouch either, particularly, he's a very quick racer in the GT4s, and then I'm sure a number of other cars too.
Wayne.
So
Wide there on the left, he's going to have to give this one up. He won't have the actually, no, Jeff gave it to him.
If you know Wayne Vizzer, you'll know that he's not giving up a spot. So it's I'll be surprised. It won't be gifted to Jeff here. He'll fight for every spot, Wayne, and he'll be pretty happy with this, and absolutely rightfully so. But Jeff is right there in attack distance too, so it'll be interesting to see who's really good under brakes. These things are, once again, relatively tricky under brakes. You've got to make sure that you're bleeding it out towards the end of that braking zone so you don't lock up, as you always have to do with downforce vehicles. And that can get tricky. Also, often the fixed setup, the brake bias is set too far forward, effectively, for what is most effective. So for anyone out there, hot tip, I would be moving it a bit rearward, but also on the other hand, don't move it 1 notch too far rearward, because you'll hit the brakes and spin around immediately. So, it's a delicate balancing act, but it does sit relatively far forward. Maverick right on the back of Dials still. somewhat surprised he hasn't pitted. I can only imagine that he's either decided he wants to save fuel or doesn't have the pace to overtake at this point. I think he did do a bit of fuel save work in that first race at Monza. I can't remember where he qualied, but he did end up coming in 5th or something, which was quite good, and I think it was up quite a few places. So smart racer, Adam. He outdid me on fuel saving last night, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's pulling that trick tonight as well. If we look a little further up in 4th and 5th, yeah, there we go. So Brett Barker and Paul Rogers here fighting it out with Paul Rogers sitting ahead now. Luthwaite as well, right on the back of Rayhana. So it's all happening here. Where are we? We're what, 28 minutes in or so, 26 minutes in. So it's all starting to kick off. And I can only imagine for some of these guys it will be now a question of, okay, are we going to keep doing this, or should one of us pit in? Rayhana as well, last lap a 1:34.157. First lap of the race. Oh jeez, but Luthwaite was actually quicker. He was quicker by 1/10.5. He must have just had an off track because it did not register. But these guys are fighting it out now with 13 minutes left on the clock. If we look at that, so 1:34, so what, 13 minutes? Now, I'm no Zach. As we come around the first corner, but I'd say, what's that, about 5 laps remaining, I'd imagine, if I quick math that correctly. But yeah, I am surprised actually neither of these guys have decided to pit. I guess they do have David Baz is now 5 seconds back, so he has really fallen off since falling out of Luthwaite's toe there. Clearly was very useful for him, and you can make a lot of time in the toe in these. Can also help to be following a car ahead of you that is actually doing the right things, and you can then learn from. But these two are absolutely fighting it out. As well, fixed setups in this series, which makes it really accessible for everyone, and means that that these guys are fighting based on the merit of their driving currently, rather than what their setup is, whether or not they've got less wing or anything like that.
There goes Jackson in the pits.
There you go, Jackson. So Jackson pits in. He goes, you know what, I'm not going to lose any more time here. It'll be interesting to see whether he puts that up on Shock's Daniel, and takes there's only 12 minutes left, so whether or not he needs that full 10 litres of fuel, I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember from first race, but it will be interesting. You don't get a huge amount from new tyres in these. You get some. You probably, probably suffer for the first race or two. No tyres. Interesting.
Just fuel.
Yeah. So you will suffer in the first couple of laps if you take tyres. But if you have, for instance, overheated your tyres, it could potentially be beneficial. So clearly Jackson's decided otherwise. Thinks that either it is better for him to have those warm tyres, or that track position is important to him. So we'll see. I would imagine Luthwaite will pit at the end of this lap as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lavis and Dial also follows suit. You tend to see when the leader pits that a lot of others end up pitting with them. There's usually a reason the leader pits. In fact, actually look at that pit time. So he's still come out in 6th here, Rayhana, with some clear air. So he's done really well out of this. He's not caught up in any sort of battles whatsoever. Potentially he might have Caldwell coming up, but yeah, to come out in 6th is pretty impressive here. So Kirk Omenson coming out of the pit lane here, takes that first corner. decides that pit lane, he needed to return to pit lane. He really liked it back there and decided he wanted to return back there.
Luthwaite went past the pits, by the way, didn't come in, but Lavis has. If Jackson stays out, Lavis comes in.
Okay, so this will be interesting. I would be surprised if Lavis takes a little bit less fuel, so whether or not they still come out fighting. Usually pretty good in pit lane, Adam. So I would imagine Dial will pit at the end of this lap. I can't imagine they've got that much fuel left in them. We are almost 31 minutes into a 40-minute race. And usually the fueling would mean that you wouldn't go too much further than that. Do you remember how deep we were into Monza before everyone had to pit?
No.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Usually Monza is a high fuel track anyway, so it would be a bit sooner. Yeah, as we look, so the intervals are relatively spread out. So despite the fact we have very good racing in these, the intervals are relatively spread out. But once they get close, the fighting really happens. So as we're seeing here, right? So you've got, oh, okay. So Luthwaite's into pit lane. So this will be a really interesting situation for him. Rehana is coming around. He did well out of his pit stop, came out in clear air, but also Luthwaite was floating around in clear air and doing really, really good lap times. He was able to catch up with Rehana, who was ahead.
There he goes. So, if I've got that right, he's just exited ahead of Rehana. Wow! Okay,
Wow.
The undercut. So the undercut did not work out for Jackson.
Yep, very interesting. So, and I mean, that doesn't entirely surprise me because Luthwaite's pace tonight has been really good. Jackson does have the fastest lap of the race, but there was a faster lap done by Luthwaite, and but it was an off-track lap. So these two still fighting. So this is still a complete toss-up, right? So it's not. These aren't F1 cars. You actually can overtake without a million different tools to do so. Even on the Hungaroring, which I think they affectionately call Monaco without walls, which I reckon is a bit of a stretch, quite frankly. I don't think it's quite that tight, but you know, maybe I just think they're soft. It is a brilliant track in these, those. But yeah, so I'll be interested to see, say, does Jackson stay behind and really mount a challenge towards the end, or does he want this right now? I can't see anyone else really challenging these two, to be honest. Like, Baz was at least 5 seconds behind by the time they pitted, even though he is ahead at this point, and the rest of them were even further behind. I think the pit sequences, yeah, the pit sequences are going through right now. So Luthwaite will be right ahead. Yeah, and Baz will end up about that 5-6 seconds behind. Little wide. Did Luthwaite take tyres at all? I didn't see whether or not that was the
Luthwaite
case.
did a pit time of 4.2, Rayana with 4.5, so neither of them took tyres. Just fuel, but Luthwaite obviously has the advantage here of about 0.5. Now, the only question is going to be...
So sorry, Adam Maverick has taken Jackson Dial here as well within pit lane.
Yes.
So, and actually by quite a margin too. So he's just done his fastest lap of the race at 34.9. And yeah, Dial has not been able to keep up with that throughout the pit lane sequence. So somewhat as expected, Adam had been biding his time and ready to take that car, and now is actually right on the back of Brett Barker. He could be on a charge here in his own right. He's only 2/10 back here.
The only thing you have to pay attention to, though, is for whatever reason. Yeah, because Brett Barker came out on wet tyres.
Okay, so Brett Barker,
He's in trouble.
oh, hello, mate. There you go,
G'day, mate.
Joe.
Oh, I'm good. I've been stuck in here. Actually, I was about to let you guys in a little secret. There is... the server was only set up, it had like 24% chance of rain, and a lot of guys are worried about the possibility of it arriving. Now, if I have a look at the forecast, it's not showing any rain, but as we've just seen with Mr. Barker, they have to be careful with... if you have the wet tyre ticked, you can't actually uncheck putting tyres on at all. So you can't actually click to not change tyres if you've got a different compound selected.
Oh my lord, what happened there?
Who was that?
It looks like it was Paul Wood and Mark McNamara.
It was, and I'll be back.
Race control obviously there. So Paul Wood was... Oh, just couldn't slow up. Bang. Okay, now that...
That's an interesting one, isn't it? So
I need to watch
can we
that back.
replay that again for a tick? Because that's a very odd accident, isn't it?
Because... Did he turn left? Oh, no. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
he did. He's jinked ref a little bit, but I would imagine that's that under braking.
Yeah,
He's been under braking and it's jinked left that little bit. Jeez, that's a weird one, right? Because realistically, Paul Wood is on the outside there and actually didn't have right to be on that corner, but he's also got a car ahead of him that's going really slow and being unpredictable. So it's a very difficult one to deal with, and it's not something he would have been able to avoid. He would have expected that car to make the corner easily with that pace, right? I wonder, was one of them on wet tyres potentially as well? No. I don't know. That looked very, very different in as far as those braking zones were concerned.
Actually, Mark may have been.
Was it Mark McNamara?
Yeah, Mark may
He's
have
on wet.
been.
He's on wets.
Yeah.
He's on wets. So that's it. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So see, look at the difference between those two tyres in that braking zone. It was so noticeable right there. The difference in grip between the wet and the dry tyre, and that really catches you out because you would not expect to see it. So, Joe, have you got any update on what the forecast is, or are you going to stay on mute for us?
No, when I look at the forecast, if I look at the weather thing there, it's not showing any cloud at all, so I would say it's probably going to stay dry for the rest of the race, but a couple of guys have been caught out by having wet tyres ticked, and that's exactly what's caused that incident there with Mark and Woodsy. So it's going to be a difficult one to adjudicate on, really, because I don't think there was any intent on the behalf of Mark. I think he just never had any never had any grip.
Yeah, I agree, right? Because he was, you had Woodsy up the outside and he just had so much more pace, obviously, under brakes. But realistically, Mark, it was Mark's corner, even if he was making that error there. So it's, it's a difficult one, and you would... It is one of those things now that we have to keep in mind is, okay, is that guy ahead of me on wets or is he on dries? What is his tyre at? It's not something we've had to... Actually, in many cases throughout iRacing, tyres have not been much of a talking point. There has not been much changing of tyres. There's not been much differential in tyres. It has been, you have one set of tyres outside some of the very top disciplines.
Oh no! Oh wow, they got away with it. They got away with that so clean. I cannot believe Wayne Visser's car did not spin then. But Jack Humphries went down on the inside of turn one. Wayne Visser turned in a little early. It was cheeky. And the two tyres touched. I thought there'd be a spin, but there wasn't. Never mind.
Okay. So Humphries has actually called that in as well. Viz into the wall. He will not be happy about that. And he's called that in too. So these two boys are not entirely happy with each other right now. Have certainly come to blows. Disappointing for Vizza, who had such a good race up until
Jack's trying to give the position back. Look at these. He stopped there on the side of the road. So props to you, but
absolutely. And you've got to. It's something we've probably seen a little bit less of.
Oh my God!
Wow, massive accident.
Was that Richard King?
That's Richard King. So he was in 4th spot. So this is, what was it, 4th? No, 9th. That's a huge
Oh,
crash.
that's massive, yeah.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Just went a little
So if
too
we look-
wide, caught the off balance on the car on the curb, and yes, spun it right in. You can see just how fast he went into that wall. Front of the car is gone. The tether's holding the tires to the chassis, and I believe we're at with a white flag. We are.
Wow, so white flag. So what have we got up front here too? So Luthwaite is gapping Wayhana here. He is 1 point, which actually doesn't entirely surprise me that he did have that pace early on and was able to catch back up. It will be interesting to see if Rayhana is able to bring that back at all, but it's going to be a tough slog from 1.3 seconds out. Everyone else within that top 10, all the way down to 12th place, is really outside of battle zone now. I mean, it is a 40-minute race, so that's not entirely surprising. Just as Green overtakes Piper there, Barker dropping back down through the field. So what's happened to Barker here too? Because he was right up the top too, right up the top. So there's a few people that have had some serious accidents here. Don't tell me it's on his own. Oh, he's pushed it too hard. Oh no. He's just asked that little bit too much of the rears. I was actually in this car last night, and I asked a little bit too much of the rears on the final lap as well. And yep, same for Jeff Adams. It's just pushing that little bit too hard. You just think you've got that little bit more grip. So Luthwaite takes the win here over Rayhana. Close race, but well done for Luthwaite to fight that back. Baz in third place, a good third place, but back from it. Paul Rogers in fourth, Culverwell in fifth place. Adam Lavis brings it back for sixth after taking Dial within that pit lane sequence. Schmidtke takes home eighth. Gomes takes home ninth, and Zamora, I assume, will round out our top 10. We're looking at Amos here, who is on the back of a three-way battle pack. We'll see whether... Oh, Banksy, come on, buddy. I am showing my my allegiances here.
Oh, that's really well done around the outside. I'll have the inside turn for the final. Oh, Liam Banks.
Well
Nice
done, mate.
move. Well
Nice
done.
move, Liam.
No, don't ruin it now. All right, there we go.
Oh,
Well
it's
done.
close. It's close. Look at these fellas
That's
go.
crazy. That's actually a
stuff.
crazy move at the back end there.
That's great. That's great. And great race from him too. Up 14 spots. Is that hard charge? Oh no, Amos still has hard charger with 16 spots by the looks. Oh, around the outside. So the thing with Liam, right? So we haven't
Clean.
huge, very clean. Very clean, and he's good in downforce cars, Liam. So he was really happy to see that these come to Thursday nights because he actually potentially has a chance to race them because he's a good downforce car racer, Liam, and it's one of the things he likes doing when he's not in the comm booth. So good race all in all. That was definitely the battle for the finale. Yeah, so Luthwaite takes out the win. 9/10 from Rayhana was able to reel him back in throughout this race. It was a methodical race by Luthwaite to reel in Rayhana. Rayhana doing really well still with that second spot, and I'd imagine will hold the championship lead as he came into it with the lead. Baz as well, great work holding on to third there. That's a great effort. Big gap as well to Rogers in fourth. There's some really serious gaps as you go back. So Culverwell 28 seconds back from the leaders in fifth place. So there definitely was an aspect of if you can keep it clean and keep a decent enough pace, you will do well in this race. Maverick in sixth place, taking Dial, Matt Schmidtke in eighth, Mark Gomes in ninth, and Zamora in 10th place, 66 seconds back from the lead. So Proctor and Jaden Green for a locked up Sim Sports 11 and 12th place. 13th for Piper, 14th for Banks after a great finale there. on top of Adams and Amos. Brett Barker was doing well throughout the race, but unfortunately came unstuck, asking a little bit too much of the rear tyres there towards the end of that race. Comes into 17th place, still gets 18 points for that. 18th place with Julian Mookie, 19th place for Stephen Crediton, and 20th place goes to Greg Heaney. From 18th onwards, it was a lap down. 21st, so if we look in the 20s, everyone a lap down from this point. So you've got Paul Wood, Richard King, Mark McNamara, Paul Wilson, Wayne Vizza. Incredible race up until the end there, where he got entangled in a battle. It'll be interesting to see what race control have deemed on that, but unfortunate there for Viz. Comes home in 25th place, still gets some points for that. If we look into the non-points playing positions, 3 laps down we have Jack Humphreys, Scott Jordison 5 laps down, Kurt Nomanson has dropped out with 9 laps, and then you've got Ila Mirabella, John Baldwin, Aiden Schultz, Guy Leach, Glenn Cito, Riddell, Trent Allen, Pete Maddo Matson, and Tony Baker rounding it out, not making it too much further than the start line. Championship standing, so Jackson Rehana is very much holding on to that lead. It seems like the people that were challenging him weren't able to have a particularly great round this time around. Having said that, David Baz with a 3rd place puts himself up into 2nd spot here, and the closest competitor, Adam Lavis, in 3rd spot. Once again, consistency pays. Those sort of 5th, 6th spots could come in handy towards the end of the season. These are very easy cars for you to either have a spin or have damage and really fall down the field, particularly with a field of this size. Points only go up to 25th place. If you've got a field of 30 or 35, it's very easy to not score anything. Cam Culverwell sits there in 4th place on 79 points, just behind Maverick there. 2 points further back, Jackson Dyer Luthwaite on 63, Jack Humphreys on 56, Mookie, Brett Barker and Schmidtke make up your top 10. There's a few around that sort of, those sort of 40, late 40 point mark. So I think we have a few drivers in the booth with us, including our race winner, Hayden Luthwaite. Brilliant race from you. Can you walk us through what you were thinking? I know that you had those battles early on with David Baz, and once that fell off, you were able to sort of catch up Rehana ahead. What was your plan? Did you have a pit stop plan as well, or was it just pace tonight?
Yeah, I think it was mainly just about sort of staying out of trouble, really, and just sort of carrying it through to the end. I had a bit of a battle there with Baz in the early phases. But tried to get away from him a little bit and then slowly catch Jackson. Managed to get him in the pit phase, which was good. And yeah, got a win out of it, which was great. I thought there was going to be a little bit of rain, to be honest with you, but it wasn't so in the end. So yeah, great win nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. You weren't alone. There were a few that tried wet tyres, whether by mistake or not. There was a dabble of wet tyres here and there, causing mischief. But no, there was no rain in the end. These slicks will last okay for a few laps of rain anyway. But yeah, how much did you actually know about what the forecast was going to be coming into this, or do you just very much find out that information as you go along?
Yeah, I think sometimes with the weather, obviously, sometimes it's one of those things where you just have to play along as you go along, sort of thing, in the moment. But yeah, I had a rough idea. I was talking to the spotter, just trying to get an idea, and yeah, didn't seem like there was going to be rain, sort of, 20 minutes to go, sort of thing. So just sent it home.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as well, so you were able to catch Jackson Rehana there, after that battle with Baz. You weren't too far back, but you still had to pull that in. Was there a particular area of the track that you were quicker or more effective on, or was it just sort of general, little mistake here and there, or a little bit of pace here and there?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think, to be honest, I think just going off feel, I think Jackson sort of had me a little bit in the, sort of the first sector, particularly turn 1. I thought he was getting a better exit than me, sort of pretty much every lap. But I think towards the end of the lap that I was a little bit faster, particularly coming into that right hand before the left-right section towards the end of the track. But yeah, definitely weak pros and cons to both of us, that's for sure.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. So, I'll leave it there. Congratulations on the race win. Really well done, very methodical win. Is there anyone you want to thank or anything before you jump off the broadcast? Or
Just the guys in the team. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting me. It's, yeah, fun being able to get a bit of a win, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that's Aiden Luthwaite. That's our race winner. As well, we have in the comm booth, Greg Heaney. So, Greg, I actually say you won't be shocked to know that I was struggling with internet, and I actually didn't follow your race too closely. Can you give me a bit of a background on what happened for you?
Look, I attempted at the V's, managed to stick that out, and then jumped on over to here, got a banker lap in on the wets in the qualifying session, and I was happy to start where I started, and then just drive to the end. Managed to gain, I think it was 11 places in the end, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, no, congratulations to Aiden for the win. Also, well done to Jackson for getting another one of our cars into the top 10, so well done to him as well. I think he ended up in the 7th in the end there, so yeah, good drive by the boys tonight. Was hoping we'd have another car on the track, but unfortunately Fred couldn't make it tonight, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you find these cars in the rain too? Is it something that you reckon you're better at, or you're not quite got grasp of the rain yet?
Oh, look, driving in the rain, I'm not too bad. In the SFL, I'm still learning the car in the rain. I mean, I don't have a go-karting knowledge terribly much at all, so I know generally something like this you drive on a go-kart line, so I mean, I'll get it eventually. But yeah, no, it was a heap of fun with the guys racing around with the other guys tonight. But on your comments about people dabbling at grabbing wet tyres, I know there was a couple of cars that were hindering me a little bit that opted for wets off the start. So had it rained, I mean, yes, that probably would have helped them, but yeah, no, unfortunately it held a few of us up near the back of the grid a little bit, trying to just get past them.
Yeah, it's an interesting move. So when, as well, for my benefit, when did that pit window really open for you too? Because it's and how much fuel did you end up taking? Because I would imagine it's not that difficult a tyre change, and it probably wouldn't be worth it on the wets if it's not starting to rain to start with, because you can usually get about 3 laps in these before those wets start becoming more beneficial.
Yeah, I actually didn't take tyres for the whole race, just in case it did actually rain. And if it did rain, I mean, if it was going to rain within the last 5 or 6 minutes, or maybe a little bit before that, I was probably not going to take the wets unless I really had to. As for fuel, I just used the auto fuel thing that iRacing implemented. I think it was about 7 odd litres or 8 odd litres of fuel to get me through the end from where I pitted.
Yep, okay, that's it, because I think, as I was saying earlier, that it's usually about a free pit stop at about 10 litres, so I'm not surprised. We didn't really see anyone else take tyres either outside of potential wet runners, so that does make sense. That's actually an interesting point, so, because it's you get one set of tyres, don't you? Does that include if you want to move to wets from dries, even if you've taken another set of dries?
Yeah. Adam Maverick. Adam did call it out in the race, and just I think it was lap 2. He's just given everybody prior warning to, if you were going to pit, make sure you had your tyres ticked off in case it rained, because you've only got one set. Currently, as far as I'm aware, iRacing don't have it implemented that you can set the sessions up with a limit on dry tyres and then a non-limit on wets. So if you did switch to to wets from dries and it didn't rain, you were stuck with them.
Well,
or
and
vice
imagine
versa.
you're on,
If you,
you're on dries and it's in the wet, like you're dead, right? So that's it's not something I'd imagine the FIA would implement, right? In saying that you're forced to stay on the slicks, but iRacing has decided in their infinite wisdom that no, one tyre set is one tyre set, I guess. So that could throw out some interesting states. Do you have any issues with tyres outside of that, or were they okay for the entire race? No.
mine were okay.
Spin around the rear towards the end. Clearly burnt out a little bit more on the rears than what we'd seen. But yeah, you didn't have any issues.
No, mine were okay. I mean, it was getting a little bit understeery towards the end, but I was trying to push a little bit harder than I normally would. So I just had to roll the brake bias back a little bit or around a little bit, just to be able to get it to control itself a bit better. But no, I mean, look, good race from me tonight. I was flirting with the drive-through towards the end. I think I finished with one spare point left. I think Jackson, I think he had about 2 or 3 left as well in the end there. But no, look, good race from our guys tonight. So I'm happy with everything.
Excellent. Well, before we let you go, anyone else you want to thank? Any sponsors or anything like that, Greg?
Mainly just thanks for the guys to putting on a show tonight. Thanks to the boss for letting me put Bowens on the car. It's amazing what happens when you build his new house for him. But thanks for everything, and particularly for you boys putting the stream on as well. You guys do a great job every week. So
Yeah, I'll second that too.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. Yep, Daniel does a great job every week. I usually just crash in these, so I'll just be for this week, I reckon. But no, thank you both for jumping in. And I think that is the rest of our interviews, isn't it, Daniel?
I believe so, unless there's someone else I haven't seen, no?
Excellent. Well, is there anything you want to add, or we can go through with thanking everyone that makes it possible for us to be putting on these broadcasts on a Thursday night?
No, nothing for me to add. We'll run through our sponsors, and then maybe I'll just give everyone at home a rundown of what's to come over the next week.
Perfect. So Waste Options, long-term sponsor, has been great for us. Spreyton Cider have come on and taken us through. Orbic, Lobesy Racing, who are sponsoring the up-and-comers. M-Wave, message Dan if you have an issue, as I have. Flash Graphics, and that is the crux of it tonight. So those are the people that keep us running, keep us on air. So thank you very much to those. Please support those businesses if you get the chance. And Dan, I'll throw to you for what's coming up on the agenda if you want, if you've got an agenda coming up.
Not a problem, thanks Sam. All right, so coming up tomorrow, Friday. Yes, it is broadcast. It is the Stock Car Series with the SRX from Watkins Glen Classics. 3 races starting off at 8 p.m. with race 2 and 3 being full reverse grid and top 10 reverse grid respectively. Moving on to Saturday, Mountain Men as per usual. We're taking the TCRs for 32 laps around the mountain. That starts at 8:30 p.m. Going on to Monday next week, broadcast Super 2 V8s at Circuit Zola, 25 minutes, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And then we go to the GT3 series at Sebring International Raceway for 2 races. That's 11 laps for the first one and 18 for the second. I believe that is actually also both splits. It'll be AM first, Pro second. So watch out for that one on a Monday. Tuesday, the up-and-comers Van Ryn Cup. They take the MX-5s to WeatherTech Laguna Seca for 3 races starting at 7:45. And then the GT1s go to Silverstone for 40 minutes. That starts at 9:10. Wednesday next week, the MX-5s to Laguna Seca, so we're mirroring the up-and-comers there for the Production Car Challenge, and they'll go for 2 races respectively, 15 and 25 minutes with the top 10 reverse grid for the second. That kicks off at 7:30 p.m. And then the GT4s go for 40 minutes around Muddle and Aragon at 8:45. And then join us again next week, this time for the Formula Vs at Donington Park National. The 3 races, as per usual, kicking off at 7:30, and then the Wings and Slicks go to the historic land of Barcelona, Catalunya. The 2 races, 15 and 25, with the top 10 reverse grid for the second at 8:45.
hot news off the press. Next week, guys, there is no rain forecast for these guys, so it's going to be a little bit easier on them and the broadcast side of things. It's going to be a dry weekend, and they also have lone qualifying. So with the 2-heat format, it's we've given them extra practice time, so nearly an hour's worth of practice, and then it's a 13-minute or I think 12-minute lone qualifying session. So yeah, they can leave their gumboots at home this week.
Jeez, you're being too kind to us, Joe, I reckon. What are we? Catalonia. So, yeah.
Yes, yeah, Catalonia next week. Fantastic track. As I'm sure you're aware, the anything with downforce at Catalonia is just flat out fun. And I know that like F3s, F4s, all those style of cars, even all the way down to skippies around Catalonia, are just amazing fun. So I'm really looking forward to especially what heat racing is going to have to offer with the big grids that we've had. Yeah, and with a reverse top 10, which just let me have a look. I'm pretty certain race 2 is a reverse grid.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
Top 10.
So, yeah, so it's a top 10 reverse grid for race 2. So that's going to, that's going to throw a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons. You know, when you get some of these really good guys like Jackson and, all these guys, Aiden and these guys, when you stick them back into the pack for race 2, because they'll obviously finish up the front, it's certainly going to be a broadcast you're just not going to want to miss.
Absolutely. And then you've got, fuel saving and pit lane going on in that final race as well. That feature race is definitely going to be something to watch, I reckon.
25 minutes of adrenaline. I think, I'm really looking forward to the different format next week. I think we've got 3 different formats for these guys over the course of the season. You don't want it to be too vanilla, having it. Yeah, I mean we've got our staples. The V8s have a 25-minute race on a Monday, and the GT4s have their format and whatnot. But I think that cars like this probably lend themselves to not only having the longer races, but those shorter races where and is it better to finish 3rd in race 1 and start ahead of the guys that you're battling with, start ahead of them guys in race 2 a little bit, to try and get a better position in the second race where it pays more points. So you've got strategy like that as well, or you can do what we normally do in the V's, and you can go balls to the wall, right, and just go for it every time you hit the track. But I think with cars like this, they're going to take a lot different mindset and strategy when it comes to heat racing over things like V's or Formula Fords or even the skippies for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely overtake in these, but it's it's not necessarily an easy task, and you can lose a lot of time in the process. So it would be interesting to see that pace differential play out next week, and who can keep it clean, because it's very easy to wreck them as well, right?
They're quite a fragile car. I was just looking. I had. One of the guys in race control saying, "Can you just have a look at this? It was a net coat, but why would my car be damaged?" And it was a minor. He never even really touched. It was a bit of a net coat, but it broke the right rear off his car to the point where he had to pit on that too. So they're quite a fragile car. Whether or not the iRacing has got it quite right, even though as we can see, Julian there was doing pretty well without a rear wing, to be honest. So. But yeah, when they cop it on the wheel, they tend to be a little bit fragile. But to be fair, most open wheel cars like this in real life are rather fragile. That green car looks like something out of Tron, doesn't it?
That's Jeff Adams there, number 7.
I've got to say, I like that. I wonder if it makes a noise.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, Joe, do you reckon, because being that final one of the on a Thursday night, you do get those different opportunities to do endurance races and regular races and sprint formats. so far it was a bit of a big call, taking away Porsches from Thursday nights. But my view is that these are living up to it. Are you of the same opinion?
Look, I still have a tear in my eye that the Porsches are gone. I'm not good at them, but I love racing them and the challenge that they put up. But in saying that, our numbers were dwindling in the Porsches. They really were. And and I mean, it kind of sucks. We've lost Corey Lazarus as he stepped away from the club until we bring back the Porsches. That's what he wants to race. And Matt Dench, we lose him on a Thursday night, having him involved with our racing, and I'm not sure if he's picked up any others, but I think that, we had, 27 or 28 cars in tonight, and we haven't had that in the Porsches for a few seasons now on a regular basis. So it's that saying where, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You have a look at Monday nights with our supercars, we're getting 40 plus fields every single week at the moment. Whereas at the end of last season, they were dwindling off. We were getting like 17, 18 between Pro and AM, whereas now we've stepped over to these and we're getting a full grid of cars. Like it just shows the popularity of them. And the change was probably a good call, even if it is at the detriment of the guys that love the Porsche.
Yeah, and we will send the Porsche back, there's no doubt.
Absolutely.
It is a great car to race, but I do stand by the concept that, absence makes the heart grow fonder a little bit as well, right? And refreshing and trying something new. I do think, we've not had downforce open wheelers and the platform's GSRC for a very long time. At least not. Actually, I don't really reckon in my time here, really, at all.
We had the big brother to this car on a Friday night last season, but it wasn't broadcast. Yep. And we had the core group of guys in there that raced it sort of right through the season. I did race control for them as well. I'm not going to lie, I would have loved to have been racing these cars. These are probably one of my favourite cars at the moment. I'm hoping I can get an RC to step in when we run them around the streets of Belle Isle for the grand final. That's going to be a cracking race. I've done a few laps around there, just checking setups and stuff. And when you can get around Detroit Belle Isle in any car under 1 minute 20, you know that they're fast, and these things certainly are going to put on a show around there. But it's also going to be fraught with danger, being the concrete canyon. A little mistake will create very, very big problems around there.
Oh, it's not much more dangerous than Detroit Belle Isle in pretty much any vehicle. So it's, but it's also, that's what makes it great. And also the roughness, it's got that classic,
Yes.
That classic US, for whatever reason, they I don't know, they don't have rollers over there or whatever, but the bitumen's rubbish. So it's so you've got to deal with that as well, and then work with that under braking and not lock up, while you're going over those sort of things. And with these sucking you to the ground, I can imagine it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, the trick with them around there, or actually at any track really, you got to keep them off the curbs, because as soon as you get them up on curbs, they lose their downforce, right? So, and places like Belle Isle, there's a couple of big bumps in braking. So I think the same guy that actually laid Sebring laid Belle Isle.
I agree.
I think
same
that's
guy.
probably the case. So
yep.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge in these cars. I may even tweak the set up on it a little bit, just ride height, just to keep them a little bit safer. Outright speed might be down, but you've got a wide range of skill levels that are participating, so you've got to make it easier for some of those guys in the mid to rear pack to survive at a place like Belle Isle. So yeah, we'll do what we can to keep it safe for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other aspect of these being a fixed format, which we don't usually see for the final race. But I'm 100% in agreement with you that by fixing that setup, it does. It allows more people to get involved, and I reckon the racing to be better because you don't have to spend a bunch of time or money on setups, right? So yeah, I think that is part of the success of this formula. But anyway, I'll leave it there, Joe, because we're rambling on at this point. We've just hit 10 o'clock, but
sounds good to me.
All right, so just before we go, merch.tgsrci.com if you want to get any kit for yourself or some loved ones, and if you want any more information on the club, you can join us at race.tgsrci.com. Alright, that's all from us today. We hope you've had a good one enjoying the show, and join us tomorrow for as our club president Joe Baldwin will bring you the SRX from Watkins Glen Classic. But for now, that's all. Have a great one, and we'll catch you on the next one.